All right, thank you. Let's move forward with the program. As like you, I'm looking forward to hearing from Richard. We have several now joining us via Zoom, and I'd like to welcome all of you and thank you for joining. For those on Zoom, we have 79 or so people registered to attend in person for a total of 105 attendees. It's really been a great turnout for our first luncheon of the year. Thank you very much. I want to recognize a few VIPs we have joining us via Zoom. They are Sean Reagan, the council member with the town of Herndon. We have Jack Potter, MWA President and CEO. We have William Sudow, Chair of the MWA Board. We have Thorne Posen, Vice Chair of the MWA Board, and J. Walter Tejada, MWA Board Member. We appreciate them joining us today. Thank you very much. Before I call up Mr. David Kelly with the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority for the purposes of an introduction, I want to gladly say that CFD is finally getting back into the groove of monthly activities. We have 3 events over the course of the next 3 months. I invite you all to attend. For those here, they're listed on the back of the program, which you have at your seat. And I'll just highlight those. The next one will be on Thursday. It is a webinar. It's our 2nd annual Sustainable Infrastructure webinar, building off of last year's program. You probably saw a flyer on this slide deck here. And then in March, on the 25th, we have our gala coming back after a long hiatus. And we're gathering to celebrate 55 years of the Committee for Dulles and to honor a very special award winner, Jack Potter, with the Tower of Dulles Award. This will be at the Westfields Marriott, and we'd like you to join us for an evening of socializing, eating, celebrating, maybe even dancing. And if lucky, you'll win some great prizes. We've already had some of those secured, and we're really looking forward to that event. Lastly, we rekindled our golf tournament last year. It was a great success after, again, a hiatus. So we're going to do that again. And that's going to be, I think it's April, I might say March here, but April 25th. And that'll be at Westfields Golf Club. So I hope you'll join us there. Some of the proceeds from that event will go to Committee for Dulles' Community Outreach Program, the Scholarship Fund more specifically, and we'll hear more about that later. For all the event details and registration, visit our website, committeefordulles.org. Again, that's committeefordulles, spelled out, .org, or contact our Executive Director, Mr. Scott York, up here in the front. Now, I asked David Kelly to please come up to introduce our speaker. David is the National Business Investment Director at the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. The EDA is a CFD member and an advocate sponsor. David serves as an active member of the CFD Board of Directors. Please welcome David.
Thank you, and thank you, Mike, for the opportunity to introduce our keynote speaker for today. At the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, I manage the team that supports companies that are headquartered in the United States. I can speak for the entire team at the FCDA and say that we greatly appreciate the major airports that are in the area. In fact, as all of you know, Fairfax County is located between Dulles International Airport and Reagan National Airport. These world-class airports, with their diversity in national and domestic connections, make Fairfax County a region and attractive place to do business, especially for companies that rely on domestic and international travel. That is one reason why we have international companies like Volkswagen, Airbus, and Rolls-Royce, as well as US-based companies like Mars, Leidos, and Raytheon that have chosen the area as headquarters or major offices. At the FCDA, we support thousands of innovative tech companies like the many members that are the Committee for Dulles. And now it is my great honor to introduce Richard Golanowski. Mr. Golanowski is Vice President and Airport Manager at Dulles International, which includes the airport, the Dulles Toll Road, and the Dulles International Airport Access Highway. Prior to assuming the position in September 2021, he served as Vice President for Operations. He joined the Airport Authority in February of 1995 and previously held positions at Reagan National Airport for resource support, engineering and maintenance, and airport operations. Prior to joining the Airports Authority, he worked as a consulting engineer and served as a manager of the facilities engineering group for his firm. Mr. Golanowski is a graduate of Virginia Tech University with a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering that he received in 1987, and he is a registered professional engineer in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And now I'll turn it over to Mr. Golanowski. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You know, when Scott asked me to come speak, I was certainly honored, first of all. I appreciate the opportunity. But I will tell you that the only reason why I'm here is for those door prizes afterwards. So hopefully you all will be just as happy as I am once we start getting those. And I do want to thank the chaplain. I can honestly tell you that in my however many years I've been working, I've never had a blessing with my name. I feel very honored that somebody actually blessed me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, you know, Dulles Airport's a very unique place, as you all know, right? It's near and dear to the hearts of a lot of people, not just in the Dulles region, but also, you know, in the National Capital Region. The airport obviously was built in 1962. Our former CEO, Jim Wilding, he was actually a civil engineer for FAA, laying out the airport before they even knew that there was going to be an airport here. And at that time, they were looking at Burke, Virginia, where I currently live now, coincidentally, and Dulles, the Ashburn region. And they picked this area, and we're glad they did. It's a unique place, like I said. It's got a lot of value to the airport, to the region, and it really brings the world together. And you'll see some slides here where it actually did that during the course of the last year. So what I want to do today is go over some of the highlights from 2021, and then talk a little bit about what we're talking about or what we're going to be doing in 2022. You know, if nothing else, everybody knows COVID. We can't get away from it. And you can see here, this is a chart comparing the last 3 years, 19, 20, and 21. And you can see the green in the middle, that's the 2021 numbers, well above the 2019 numbers down, or the 2020 numbers down below, but not where we need to be at the 2019 level. Now, at some point we started creeping up, things were looking good. Mid-year, things started changing a little bit with COVID. We said, you know, this is almost over. We're almost there. Let's keep going. And we started to see a peak around Thanksgiving. It was working out very well. And then, you know, this next wave came in and we started to see that dip again. You can see the curves. They're very similar. The 2019 and 2021 curves, they follow the same pattern, but we're not really where we need to be. And just so you know, these are TSA numbers. These are just throughput at the checkpoints. So we did have a unique change in our operations last year. United Airlines, obviously our 60% carrier, they started bringing in more connecting passengers, and we actually had almost 50% of the throughput was also connecting. So we essentially increased our employment numbers by about 50%. At one point, we had close to 15,000 connecting passengers, and that was unique. We didn't have that in 2019. So the 2019 numbers here that you see here, that's really just normal throughput, and it's very close to employments. The 2021 numbers, a lot of that is made up from connecting flights from United. So thank you, United. You know, they really adjusted. They saw Dulles Airport as being a great opportunity for them in their business model. And we think that it's going to be very good in 2022. We actually had 2 days that were very high in 2021. One was around Thanksgiving with 44,000 employments, and one was around Christmas with 40,000 employments. So the numbers were starting to look good. We just need to get over this hump one more time. So what else did the airlines do for us in 2021? Well, we had some new carriers, believe it or not. Allegiant Airlines brought in Jacksonville and Sarasota. Those were great additions, an ultra low cost carrier. And that's being very well received by the region. American Airlines started a nonstop to Austin, and I have family down in Austin, so I really appreciate the nonstop to Austin. Southern Airways Express, an essential air service provider. They brought service to Bedford, Bradford, Pennsylvania, Dubois, Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Morgantown, West Virginia. Well needed. It's a small operation, but we like having them out there. And Southwest Airlines brought Midway. Again, a great addition. United Airlines said, you know what, like I mentioned before, 2022 is going to be a great year, and we United Airlines are planning for expansion. And we think Dulles Airport is where we want to build this hub and really start to branch out. They added domestically, they added Bozeman, they added Panama City, they added Milwaukee and Myrtle Beach. More importantly, though, they added some international flights, 2 to Africa in Accra and Lagos. Huge, huge wins for United Airlines, a really great expansion of their operation. They also added Athens and Barbados. Again, these are areas where they see a lot of growth, and it's really benefiting us. So I mentioned, the diverse time to try and make sure that our facilities were ready for the return of our customers. It's important that we're sort of in a continuous improvement mode all the time. And sometimes when you're dealing with the daily rat race of the airport, you just don't have the time to do that. So this was actually a little bit of a good respite for us to sort of step back and say, okay, how do we need to do things? Now, some of our tenants also did things. United Airlines opened their Polaris Lounge. Huge win for United Airlines. Fantastic expansion opportunity for them. They'd actually built it and it was ready probably a year before they opened it, right in the middle of COVID. But they took a business approach to it, a smart business approach, and said, yeah, we really can't open this right now. And they waited until the time is just right. And they opened it on October of 2021, this past year. And it's been a fantastic success. Eddie Gordon's the station manager down there, and I was talking to him the other day about it, and he's just ecstatic about how it's being received by their customers. And last year, we had the return of the plane pool and the race for the runway, or runway race. And both of these are huge money makers for some of the charities that we support. Very well received. I was thinking when we were there for the plane pool, we were following all the restrictions. Terry, my ops manager, kept me straight, made sure I had a mask on the whole time. And I'm thinking the whole time, we're in the outdoors. People are spread apart 20, 30, 40, 50 feet, except if you're pulling the plane. Why do we need to do this? But, we were being safe. We were following the protocol. We were following the guidelines. And like I mentioned at our table, we had to plan for this 6 months in advance, a year in advance. And at that time, we just didn't know what to do. We wanted to bring it back. Again, it was a huge benefit for Special Olympics of Virginia and for the Committee for Dulles and Washington Airports Task Force. We wanted these events to happen, and we made them happen. The race for the runway was actually in December. We had, I think it was 2,500 runners. And a lot of people were saying, please, please, please come back next year. So, we have plans for doing that. So that was sort of 2021 in a nutshell, right? We started to see our business going up. We started to see opportunities blooming. We started to take advantage, or we took advantage of the downtime to make sure that the airport was ready. So now we're trying to figure out, what do we do in 2022? A lot of energy went into figuring out what our next step was. The first part of that was putting together a budget. We had to make sure that our budget made sense, both short-term and long-term, right? We didn't want to overspend in 2022, but we needed to make sure that we spent the right money in 2022, so we're ready for 23, 24, 25, and so on. And we wanted to make sure that our budget was fully integrated with Jack Potter's vision for the authority and for our board of directors' vision for the authority. There's a lot of talent in the executive team at the airports and the authority, and they have a lot of great ideas, and they are looking out for the well-being of the entire National Capital Region. So we want to make sure that all of our ideas and concepts were all in line. And again, we needed to be sort of cautious. Don't overspend, don't overextend ourselves, but make sure we're ready. So in 2022, we had some really good news at the end of 21 going into 2022, as you can see here. British Airways is bringing back their A380 in March. Fantastic news. Polaris to San Salvador is starting in March. Iberia is starting a service to Madrid in April. United Airlines, they went back to 3 banks. They're going to go back to 4 banks this year, hopefully in April. They're bringing back larger planes, newer planes. They have an entire business model that brings a lot of planes into Dulles Airport. And they're looking to ramp back a lot of their operations in summer and fall. You know, they're ready for the passengers. They all see it. All our partners see it. It's there. We just need to get over this little hump. I think we're still there regionally. I think we're getting close. You're starting to see some of the international traffic picking up. You see the countries. London just released some of their restrictions. I think we're on the cusp and we're going to get there. So to that end, our air service business development folks, you know, they brought in some more nonstop destinations. We had 58 in 2022. We're going to have 58 new nonstop destinations, international destinations, compared to 55 in 2019. As far as domestic nonstop, we're going from 88 to 100. This is all good news for the airport and for the region. For our capital service, another metric that we follow, we're going from 35 to 40. So like I said, we are ready. The airlines are ready. The passengers are ready. The regions are ready. One of the big things that you know we're sort of getting hung up on right now is the federal government, right? They are a big travel partner. And until the federal government sort of changes the way they're approaching business, you know, I think we're going to continue to still be a little uneasy until that business starts to open up. Now, with that being said, you know, this is all commercial traffic. We also see a lot of potential with our FBOs. This year, in fact, just this week, we released a solicitation for our 2 FBO locations. The picture on the right, you can see in the yellow blocks, those are the existing Signature and Jet Aviation. And you can see in the green blocks, those are expansion potential. Our FBOs have come to us and said, hey, you know what? Believe it or not, our business, FBO business, GA business, has blossomed, expanded during the course of the COVID. People, businesses are saying, you know what? I'm not putting my people on commercial aircraft. I'm putting them on private aircraft. And that's going to be our model, at least for the foreseeable future. Now, in addition to that, there's a whole mix. There's a change in the mix of aircraft at the GA level. And our FBOs are telling us, you know what? We need more space, not necessarily more square footage, but we need more hangar space with bigger doors and higher ceilings to accommodate the new aircraft coming out. So we're working with them on that, trying to figure out how we can make that happen in the existing footprints that they have. And there's green expansion opportunities. In addition to that, we're looking at this space here on the right. You can see that area highlighted in orange. That's between our runway 1 left and the Western lands that we call it. And this is the Western Aviation Support Area. We're looking to expand that and see whether or not we have FBO potential there, or whether we have cargo potential there, or whether we have commercial hangar space opportunity there. We're trying to figure out how to maximize use of this land to make sure that we are taking full advantage of it and that it matches with our strategic plan for the entire airport. You know, again, our airport is here to serve the Dulles region, the National Capital Region. We want to make sure that we are fit, our facilities are capable of handling all that and promoting travel in the region. In addition to the Polaris Lounge that I mentioned before, we're looking at building a Capital One Lounge. This will be open. It'll be a premier airport lounge experience open to any ticket holder. It'll be post security. I personally had a hard time getting my hands around this concept of having these private lounges rather than the airline only lounges. But they have demonstrated to us that this is a very successful business model at other airports. So we're really looking forward to that. We expect construction to start here first quarter, second quarter. And then I mentioned before the plane pull and the annual runway race, and we're actually bringing them back full tilt again. So we have dates. We were just confirmed with Special Olympics and FedEx for Saturday, September 17th for the plane pull and Dulles Day. So we're really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great experience for everybody. And then we've confirmed October 1st for our runway race, and hopefully we'll have 5,000 runners instead of 25 this time. Again, you know, these are great community events. A lot of people want to come out and see the airport. see the plane, see the static displays, see how an airport operates on the other side of the fence. So we're really looking forward to this. And the runway race has been great. You know, you get to run our runway. It's very exciting. United's always been a big partner with us on that. You can see in this picture, they have their plane in the background. That's standard fare for them. And you know, we're really looking forward to that this year. We're going to put a lot of time and effort into trying to make that a very good experience for everybody. And then, as everybody knows, the Silver Line, it is upon us. We have almost finished our share of the work with the Silver Line. Roger Natsahara and the engineering group and Drew Haskell, who's running the rail project right now, they've done a great job trying to close this up. We are very, very close. We're in testing mode, full testing mode with WMATA right now, making sure that all the systems are ready to go. And then we will be handing the keys over to WMATA for them to make a decision. We have thought maybe mid-year they might turn it on for revenue service, but that's a decision that WMATA has to make on their own. Our job was to build it. Our job was to fund it. Our job is to pay for it and then turn over the keys to WMATA. So they're going to have to make that decision on their own. But we are ready. We have resolved a lot of the issues that were out there, some of the construction related issues. All those things are being taken care of, and we're planning on moving forward. So like I mentioned, we had to pay for it. How did we pay for it? We paid for it with the Dulles Toll Road. And that was part of the deal when we took over the toll road from VDOT years ago, that we would use the revenue from the toll road to finance the construction of the Silver Line. And it's all working great. It's a very good operation that we have. We make revenue to pay our debt. We have a lot of debt on that rail line. But this year we're making a couple changes. Our plan is by mid-year to implement all electronic tolling. When COVID hit us, again, this COVID thing keeps popping up all the time, and we're making a lot of decisions based on COVID, it seems. But when COVID hit us, we decided to take our toll booth operators, the people who were sitting in the toll booth taking money, we decided to take them out of the toll booths. And we said, we can't do this anymore. It's not really a safe operation. It doesn't really make sense financially to do this. So we went to all Easy Pass or coins. So we still had the coin baskets that people could drop their coins in. This year, we are going to go to all electronic tolling, which means that the coin baskets are going to leave too. And it's going to be all automated. You'll either have an Easy Pass or you'll have an app, or you'll be able to do a pay-by-plate operation. So we're really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be good for the toll road. We're gonna sort of take away some of the blockages that we have on the toll road with the plazas. We think it's good for the region to try and encourage traffic along the Dulles corridor. But, you know, with the good comes the bad. And part of our plan for the authority was we had a toll increase schedule that was approved years ago by the region and by VDOT. And we are following that schedule. The next scheduled increase in the toll rates is January of 2023. So we have to go through a public information session. We have to brief everybody. We have to explain why we're doing this and why, and you know what the next step is, and you know what the toll history is and what the revenue is. We're sort of in a position where that was part of the deal, that we had those toll increases, and that's how we got our good bond rates, right, to get our money. So there's not a lot of wiggle room in that, but there will be a process for getting these tolls approved, and we anticipate that'll happen in 2023. And again, the important thing is that these were out there. These were discussed many years ago. Everybody knew that these toll increases were coming, but hopefully we can you know, improve the operation of the toll road by going all cashless, and then go to the next step of increasing the toll rates. So when I mentioned early on that we were developing our 2022 budget and what that really meant, and our team led by Andy Roundtree and our chief financial officer, and Jack Potter, you know, they spent a lot of time and effort trying to figure out, okay, what are our goals financially for our budget and for operations so that we can meet our financial needs and, you know, meet our budget needs. So Andy and company put together a what I consider a conservative growth pattern up through 2026 on our passenger numbers. Now, if you talk to some of the airlines these days, they say, oh no, we're going to blow that out of the water. We're going to be at 2019 by 2024. I hope they're right. And I think we are starting to see some signs that that's going to happen. However, you know, being a business, we had to be very conservative, and we had to make sure that what we were saying was was making sense financially, fiscally. So when we went to the bond market, they said, okay, yeah, you guys are playing your cards close to the chest, and this makes sense, and we're in support of you. So that's why you're seeing here in 2022, we're only at 19.5 million passengers. And again, I'd like to think, and this is for both National and Dulles, I'd like to think that those numbers are going to be better. I think they will be, but we needed to make sure that we had a minimum number that we could live by, and that's what we did. And what that does is it goes to 80% of the 2019 numbers. And again, some of the airlines are telling us, oh no, we're going to be at the 84, 85, 90% mark at the end of 2022. And again, we hope that happens. So the other piece of this with our airlines, as we're putting the budgets together, everybody's looking at cost per employment and what that means for their bottom line, because that's one of the metrics they use when they're trying to price out their operations. And our goal to our airline partners was always to keep the cost per employment as low as possible. And under the guidance of Jack and the board over the past 10 years or so, we've really done a yeoman's job of keeping these numbers down. And you can see in blue, the Dulles numbers have been going down. National numbers are sort of leveling off. And then, of course, in 2020, we had the spike with COVID again. But then we were able to bring them down in 2021. And we used some very, creative sources of revenue within the authority. We took some of the money from Western Lands. We took some of the money from the federal government. And we made sure that we, portion that properly so that we can keep our cost per employment numbers down as much as possible. So for 2022, we're looking at 1830 per employment at Dulles and 1296 per employment at National. And we think these are very good numbers, and the airlines are very supportive of it as well. So then we get back to some more, the dirty work of running an airport. And as you know, coming off of the New Year's holiday, that Sunday, I think we were in here after New Year's, we got our first storm. And Dulles Airport is well positioned to handle storms. And I was impressed. This was my first season here on the ground here at Dulles Airport working a snowstorm. And I must say my team really shined, and they did a great job. Thankfully, again, knock on wood, we didn't have any issues like they did on 95 South on that first storm. The Dulles Toll Road stayed open, cars kept driving. We kept our mobile lounge fleet going, and we kept the aircraft going. There was a fine dance, well choreographed dance between airport operations under Terry and the airlines to make sure that everything was working in sync. What was interesting about this first month was we had 3 storms. And this was the first time that I recall in my 27 years with the authority that we went through a month of snow, and Dulles Airport was at the bottom of the list of the 3 airports for quantity of snow. National had 12 inches, BWI had 11.8, and Dulles had 10. So I want to say thank you to the snow gods for keeping it low. It's not something that, I want to be the top on that list, but it was just sort of odd. Now, with all that being said, we've got another 6 weeks of winter, and we got a storm coming this weekend that we're trying to watch and trying to make sure that we're prepared for. But be assured that no matter what the storm, no matter what level of intensity, no matter how wet, how cold, how dry, our guys, men and women, will be prepared to hit the snow and keep these airports and these roads running. So what challenges are we faced with as we go into 2022? Well, first and foremost, like I said, is getting past COVID, right? Everybody wants to get there. We're dealing with this stuff for so long, and it's impacting so many people. We've adjusted as much as we can, I think. The region has adjusted, but I think it's safe to say that all of us are ready to get beyond this. Now, COVID has presented some unique challenges for us. Staffing it's crushing us. And it's hard to keep people. It's hard to hire people. We've had some luck in some unique areas, but generally speaking, staffing is tough. And I know you all are feeling it as well. Hopefully things will start to settle down. As you know, running an airport is not something you can do from home. So when we get people coming to us and saying, hey, I want to work from home, and say, well, I'm sorry, the airport doesn't work from home. You can't fly a plane out of Virginia, right? You got to fly a plane out of Dulles, and that's where the people need to be. We've accommodated as much as we can, I think, with our own staff, trying to adjust schedules, trying to, sort of spread people out a little bit. It's essential you do that, right? Unless you want to lose people. I think during the peak over the past month, we had 24 people out of our staff. And I think I have 480 some odd people on staff right now. So we had 24 people out. Unfortunately, some of those were snowplow operators. So it hit us a little bit right at the snowstorm, but we were able to manage. But it's something that we have to adjust to. We'll continue to try and figure out unique, creative ways to keep people and to hire new people. Adjusting to different passenger preferences, with the COVID especially, people have sort of thought about different ways, better ways to go through an airport and to travel. Whether it's becoming an all no touch environment, or having at gate service with your food. We need to make sure that we are adjusting our business model and the way we do things to accommodate that. Making things easier at TSA, making sure that the TSA partners understand what passengers want to do and what they can do, and trying to make that process a little bit smoother. Working with CBP to do the same thing. Everybody is sort of rethinking how they do things, and we're trying to stay ahead of all of that. I mentioned United. We're looking at expansion opportunities at the airport. But starting any expansion project is a challenge. It's sort of getting over that hump. I was at National Airport 27 years ago when they just started the new terminal, which is BC, no longer called the new terminal. And I was there when they started Secure National Hall Project Journey a few years ago in 2018. It's very hard getting over that hump to get the shovel in the ground and actually start work. So we're looking at how we get that expansion going at the airport level to make sure that we minimize impact to our customers, minimize impact to our airline partners, and minimize impact to our concessions and federal partners and local partners. Green initiatives, it's another challenge for us. We've been wrestling with this for several years. We have a lot of people that are very involved in this, trying to make sure that we are well positioned to address green concerns, sustainability concerns, whatever the newest term is, EGR, I think. It's very hard. And here's an example. We decided to bring on electric vehicles for our rental cars several years ago as part of a contract. And the rental cars companies agreed to it. They signed on and they started doing it. And now we're realizing, well, wait a minute, how are you charging all these electric vehicles? And all of a sudden the light bulbs are going on. Oh, well, wait a minute, we haven't thought about how to charge electric vehicles. So now we have projects in place or we have requests in place, I should say, to put in new electric charging systems for all these electric vehicles. Well, that sounds easy enough. And if you talk to Dominion Power, who I love, they say, oh no, you got enough juice coming into that airport, to feed a third world country. It's not a problem. And I say, okay, but how do we get it from the fence to the chargers? And that's where the rub is. And that's something, quite honestly, we may not have thought through, holistically, we may not have thought through well enough. So we're wrestling with that right now, trying to figure out how to make that happen. Another issue that we dealt with was the whole recycling phenomenon. Years ago, everybody was recycling everything, and it was great, right? You just put it in this bin, it gets taken away, gets recycled. At that time, it was getting sold to China, and China was doing whatever they were doing with it. And now that stream stopped, and now we can't give some of this stuff away. Glass was the last one. They said, nope, we're not taking glass. Any piece of paper with a dot of grease on it, nope, we're not taking it. A tin can that hasn't been cleaned out, nope, we're not taking it. We find that our trash vendors, great company, they're trying to help us, but they're saying, guys, you're going to be paying 2 or 3 times as much to recycle as you are to haul away as regular trash. So we're wrestling with that, trying to figure out how to make that work, because we think that there's an opportunity, a green opportunity for us to try and improve our recycling at the airport level. But it's definitely a challenge. The next one was managing choke points during our peak times. In 2019, we had a lot of times when we were scrambling to try and get people through the airport, get them on our roads, get them through our roads, get them through our front door, get them through the checkpoints, get them onto the planes. Over the past 2 years, again, we've been able to take a deep breath, but we know that this is coming soon, and we have to figure out how to get our folks through the whole process from curb to plane and back again to make sure that that's as an enjoyable enjoyable experience as possible for everybody. I mentioned Metro before. You know, we have to figure out how to incorporate Metro into our daily operations. We have the station built there right on the airport. Great station. It looks fantastic. But now we're trying to figure out how do we get our people, our customers from the terminal to the Metro station in a very transparent, logical way that they say, oh yeah, this makes sense. I know where to go now. You know, sometimes I've been at some Metro stations in DC where they come up into a building, you come into a building, you have no idea where you are. You're trying to figure out where the heck do I go from here? We don't want that experience. We want to make sure our experience is as clean and as efficient as possible. So, you know, that's sort of our challenges in a nutshell. That's where we're going in 2022. 2022 is going to be a great year for us. We think it's going to be a great year for the region. I will end with a few pictures of Dulles through the years. This was 1962, November 17th. That was President Kennedy down there making opening day speeches. We had 3 runways, 1 terminal, 1 tower. You can see that area here on the picture on the right. There's nothing here, right? This is all the development that's occurred here to the east of the airport right here in front is phenomenal. If you look at an aerial picture today, you know, what you guys have accomplished over the years is just incredible. The airport was designed as a gateway to the region. I mentioned Jim Wiley. What he did for the authority was fantastic. He laid the groundwork for his successors and the board successors that came along as well. And I think we have a great opportunity to do a lot of great things. The airport was built to meet the travel needs of the region. It was built on 12,000 acres roughly. We have a lot of land that's not being used yet. We have, I think it was 900 acres or so they're going to use for a solar farm that's getting ready to start construction this year. And that's land that couldn't have been used for anything else. It was sort of in the middle of the runways and it was just not available for anything else. So it seemed like a really good idea, a really good use of that land. Originally, when this was built in 1962, it was built for 6 million passengers. Once we get to full build out, we'll be at 55 million passengers a year. Phenomenal growth. In order to do that, we have to build a 5th runway. So we're holding that land to the southwest for that 5th runway. But we think that's going to happen, and we're starting to make plans now. We're going through a master planning process right now with our engineering partners and with our development partners to try and make sure that we are positioning ourselves for growth over the next 20, 30, 45 years. When Dulles turned 50, we were sort of built out in the main terminal area. We had expanded the main terminal. The 4th runway was in. The train system had been put in. The parking garages had been built. You can see the parking garage down here. And the optimism at this time was for the Metro coming, and Metro's there now. And like I say, we're almost ready to open up. So one of the other things we're doing this year, this is our 60th anniversary. We're really looking forward to an exciting time in November. We have a planning committee already put together for this. You know, we hope you all come and join us for the party on November 17th when it opens up. It's going to be an exciting time for us, and we're really looking forward to it. So with that, I'm just going to close out with a picture of the airfield that was taken on January 5th by one of our customers flying in. You can see everything was open, thanks to Terry and his team out there. We never closed. The runways were open. The planes were flying. And I want to say, you know, we are successful and we have always been successful because of our employees. I really take a lot of pride in the airport staff. I take a lot of pride in our airlines. Our airline partners are phenomenal to work with. Our airport partners, whether it's state, local, or federal partners. But in large part, our success is due to the people in this room and your predecessors and your replacements in the future, right? This committee for Dulles is phenomenal. And the work that you guys do in the Dulles community helps support us, and all we want to do is help support the Dulles region. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.